Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Angela. I did a video earlier today, but then came across a tarot tag I wanted to do. It's from several months ago. It's from I saw it on Fathom 5 Tarot. It's tarot tag hashtag shopping for tarot. She saw it on someone else's channel, and I didn't ever look at the other person's on there, but I will post her link below, and I think she linked the other person on hers. But it's 10 questions on tarot. Um, so I'll just get right into it. So the first question is, what was the last deck you bought and why? That one. So I'm cheating a little bit because the last deck I bought is not the last deck that came into my house. The last deck that came into my house is the Tarot Muha. I bought it and then it took a while to get in the mail. Let me get it open here. It came in a little tuck box, the way I got it. These are the backs. And I edged it in like a light peach color. It's a lot darker than what it looks like on here, but I love them because they match the backs perfectly. But I love the antique feel of the cards. The backs too look very, they look ancient to me. They look very old, even though I'm pretty sure this is a modern deck. And then the cards are just, they have this very antique ancient feel to me, even though they are not. And I know there's been a ton of walkthroughs done on this deck online. So yeah, I've been through this deck a lot, quite a few times. It just feels very old to me, and that's what drew me to the deck. The artwork and just how ancient it looks. So yeah, that is the Tarot Muha, which is the last deck that actually came into my house. The last one I purchased is the Steampunk Tea Leaf Fortune Telling cards. It's got a little metal box that goes with it. Little cool book that is really helpful. I actually did a walkthrough on this yesterday. This deck. These are the backs. They're very small. Fits in the palm of my hand. They're like Lenormand cards, but they're for tea leaf reading. They're gorgeous. They have this amazing chocolatey gilding on them that is just breathtaking. And I'm not going to go crazy over this because I literally just did a walkthrough on this deck yesterday on my channel. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on there. But what I didn't say about this deck yesterday, and I know it's not a tarot deck, but I still have to, I still feel like I needed to add this in today on this hashtag, because what I didn't mention in my walkthrough yesterday is, as a psychic and a medium, still learning my potential, my abilities, whatever you want to call it. If for those of you that don't know my tarot story, or even my spiritual journey story, it all began with me literally with my spiritual journey. It literally started with me waking up with the need to immerse myself in everything spirituality and paranormal, and then last April of 2019, I literally woke up one morning with the need to buy a tarot deck. Had no interest in tarot at all, and everything that has happened to me on this journey has literally been, I woke up with this overwhelming need to do something, to buy a tarot deck, to buy a pendulum, to read up and research on spirituality and all this stuff. And I just find them fascinating. Um, and I've been so immersed in the last few months with learning tarot that it, again, it was like one day I woke up and it was like someone was whispering in my ear, now you need to combine your mediumship abilities with your tarot practice. And so I've actually been using this deck a lot for that. Just practicing and learning and trying to trust my intuition with this deck. And I think that's the way this deck is going to remain. It's that I think why this deck spoke to me so well. I actually saw it for the first time on Ephanie's channel. She did a walkthrough of it, and I actually added her link below when I did my walkthrough on it yesterday. But I think that's why I was so enamored with this deck, and it is literally every time I use it, it's to try to like combine what I know with tarot or cards with that mediumship ability, because that mediumship ability is still very early stages, and I'm still learning to trust what I see, what I feel, what I hear. And so this deck has really helped with that. So that is a long roundabout answer to question 1. So now question 2. What is your decision process when you buy a deck? My decision process is simply if I'm called to the deck. As you know, if you watch my channel, the very first deck I bought was the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith. It was like, it for some reason took months after I bought it to actually start learning tarot, and that was when I only bought another deck, because the Rider-Waite-Smith does not, it doesn't jive with me at all. Maybe it's just a Radiant. I mean, I do have the what do you call it? The one everybody wants. Oh, the Centennial. I do have a Centennial version, but I think I just bought it just because I do like the aesthetic of it, the very antique feel it gives me. So I don't think I'll ever use that deck at all for any reason. I just have it because I wanted the aesthetic of it. The Rider-Waite-Smith Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith I have, I've tried for months and months and months. It's like just lays there. So I learned very quickly from buying that deck to only buy decks that really speak to me, either their artwork or there's something inside of me that is like, you have to have this deck. Much like I did with the Light Seers. The second I saw it, I'm like, I have to have that. And it has been the deck that has literally opened up so many things in my mind to my eyes. And I can't say enough about the Light Seers. That is my soul deck. That is the deck right now I would choose if I could only ever have one deck. That would be it. Just because it's opened my mind up to so many possibilities. It's amazing. So that would be my decision making process. Would be it. I'm only buying decks that call to me for a reason, and I don't necessarily know what that reason is when I'm buying it. But once I've actually worked with it, I tend to figure out pretty quickly why this deck is in my possession and why I had to have it. So yeah, that's answer to question 2. Number 3, deal breakers that keep me from buying a deck. The only deal breaker for me is, and I've done this in a previous video, is the cards themselves. Like, for example, I'm obsessed, always have been, with the 8 of Swords. If the 8 of Swords in a deck is not to my liking, the whole deck is a disappointment, and I'm not going to buy it. There have now been, because I've been working with tarot a little bit longer, other cards like the Strength card or the Hermit card. There's been a couple more added to that unless it's something that really resonates with me in those specific cards, I'm not buying the deck because it's not worth it to me. Even if the deck is gorgeous, I actually saw a deck that was pretty cool on Facebook, and I asked them to show me the Eight of Swords, and it was just like a puppy sitting down with a flower, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with the Eight of Swords to me. So it turned me off from the whole deck after that. I'm like, I don't even care to see anymore. Yeah, that is answer to number 3. Number 4, Little White Book or Guidebook. As an avid reader and a writer, the meatier the better. Little White Book is amazing because my Tarot of the Secret Forest has one, and without it, I would be lost learning that deck. So I could actually live with a Little White Book, but like I said, the meatier the better. Like my Radiant Rider-Waite Smith deck, the deck doesn't talk to me or speak to me in any way, but the book is like this thick, and it's amazing. It's got like questions you can ask yourself. It goes really in depth in the cards, and I really like that. So I love to have a thick, meaty guidebook with every deck I have. I don't have the book space for it, so I'm glad that a few of my decks only have a Little White Book. And some don't even have a book. So, I mean, I could live with a Little White Book, but I am more of the more to read, the better. Number 5, do you have new deck rituals? How do you break in a new deck? So when I first started learning to read tarot, and I started actually collecting a couple, 2 or 3 decks I had, I did do a interview deck spread with those decks. Now, I did plan on having that as my ritual for every new deck I got, but I've kind of slacked off because the last few I've gotten, I have not done a deck interview with. But how I break in the deck is because I've only ever gotten new decks, so I've not actually gotten one that someone passed down to me or anything. I usually will open it. I will light some incense. It's always got to be dragon's blood for some reason. And I will go through each card, and I will waft each card through the incense, like a cleansing ritual kind of do. But I do that with every single deck I get. So yeah, that's the main ritual. I do plan on doing more deck interviews with the other decks, but I do feel like I need to really work with them first now for maybe a week or two before I actually do the interview, because it's when you work with it, it's like the deck you're not only getting to know the deck, but the deck's getting to know you as well. So it's kind of a give and take there, and then you could interview. So that's number 5. Number 6, ever been disappointed after getting a deck? Yes. I spent close to $40 on the Rider-Waite Smith deck, and I've used it a couple times for like learning purposes, but I've never really used the deck. It sits in a little box I created for it because the tech box it came in sucked. But like I said, when I first bought a deck, it was literally like someone was telling me over and over and over, and it was getting to the point where I was having major anxiety over not having a tarot deck. Could not fathom why. So I literally just went out and bought the first one that looked like it was like a kit because it came with a book and a little box together with the deck. Had no idea at that point what Rider-Waite Smith was or how much of an impact Rider-Waite Smith was in the tarot community. Had no idea, no information. So I am disappointed because of that, because I will probably never use the deck. I may use it to compare because now I know what the card meanings are, simply because I've been through several other decks and have practiced with them. But yeah, that deck never, and I thought I would love it because the colors are so vibrant in it, and I like color. It just, for some reason, never did anything for me. um, so yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. Actually, since then, I've yet to be disappointed because, again, I'm only buying decks that seem to resonate with me or vibe with me on a vibrational level somehow. And I can actually see that just by seeing it online. I don't have to touch it. I can look at it online and know if this is something that I would work with or not. So yeah, that's that. Number 7, do I interview new decks? And yes, like I said, I started doing that when I first started learning tarot and collecting some decks. I haven't over the last probably 3 decks I've gotten. Just simply because I find it easier to work with it for a couple weeks before I do anything else with it. But yes, I do interviews with my decks, and I actually have started to where, because I wasn't using spreads at all, I've started to where I'm collecting different kinds of spreads and doing different interviews with different decks. So it gives me a different perspective on each deck, which I think is pretty cool. Number 8, do I buy decks for a specific purpose and only use it for that purpose? No. The only deck that I bought because, one, it was curiosity. Because I've never read tea leaves. I've never thought about it. But for some reason, this deck spoke to me on that level of, oh, that would be a cool deck to have to learn if I want to learn tea leaves. But the steampunk artwork is worth it. And I thought this would be like my introduction to Lenormand kind of deal. But I'm finding it that I have only been using it for mediumship purposes. So I'm pretty sure I know now why I was so enamored with this deck and how to have it. Because something is trying to get me to combine those to bridge that gap between the cards and my abilities. So yeah, this is the only deck that I have that it wasn't on purpose. I didn't buy it for that reason, but that's what it's wound up being used as, is just for that. Number 9, do you buy decks specifically for yourself, or do you buy them for others? Or use them for others? I don't necessarily understand that question. Do you buy decks specifically for yourself? No. I'm just now learning to, not learning, I'm just now building up enough confidence to spread my wings a little bit and try to read for other people. It's going very well. But that is my ultimate goal, is to read for others. I don't need to read for myself every single day or with 20 decks. I don't have 20 decks yet. I have 6, 7, I think now. But I'm not buying those decks just to read for myself. I do plan on branching out and using them for readings. And number 10, what do you wish deck creators would do more of or stop doing? The only thing that I can think of, and I didn't pull the cards out, is no borders, please. Because, I mean, it's your creative, whatever you want to do. The Tarot Muha doesn't bother me because it's got this fancy little thing around it. So it doesn't, I mean, the borders don't normally bother me. The Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith, and that could be one of the reasons why I don't connect with that deck, irks me to no end, because it's this beautiful, colorful, bright, vibrant colors, and then you have this huge white border around it, which I think kind of closes off the image. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that, like my Light Series doesn't have borders. It's amazing. Again, amazing. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that I wish they would stop doing, is putting the huge white, specifically the huge white borders, especially when the artwork is so colorful and vibrant and beautiful. It just takes something from it, kind of washes it out if you're using this huge white border. Because if it's this vibrant, beautiful artwork, it doesn't need a border. Let the artwork be free, kind of deal. You're kind of closing it off when you put a huge border on it. But that's just my opinion. And I think that is literally the only deck I have that has a border like that. But there, I have a couple, like I said, like the Teramu Hall. You don't really notice the border on it. I noticed this, but that's more kind of, to me, more a part of the artwork. My Tarot of the Secret Forest, it does have a black border, but it's thin. And because there's so much going on in the card, you don't really notice the border, to me. Plus, I need that and that because I'm still learning this deck. But yeah, those really don't bother me. Plus, I edged it in black. Most of the cards are black, so it's not taking anything from it because there's a lot of black in the deck. But when you go from bright oranges, bright reds, bright blues, and then you add a huge white border around it, it just takes something from it. But like I said, that is just my opinion. And that was number 10. So that wrapped up this video. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel. And I will see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.